What is going on? To Ryan and Brian Talk Sports plus NicLarson. As always, we thank our sponsors, Picket Sports, Hall of Fame Bets, and Sleeper Picks. We have yet again two Monday Night Football games. We have some baseball. I'm not sure what we guys have on baseball. I haven't locked anything in yet, or I haven't locked anything in for the second Monday Night Football game as I eagerly wait to see if Joe Burrow is playing. Is he alive? Is there going to have four quarterbacks? Are they going to do some kind of weird two quarterback system? I don't know what's going on with that team, so I want to wait until that happens. But I definitely have some spots to talk about. How are you guys doing?
Doing good, man. Very excited. Go Birds.
Wildlands is back for another Monday night doubleheader.
No, man, it should be a good. I think these games we said last week that sometimes these primetime games can be interesting. At least this one has an Eagles game on where no matter what I'll be locked in. So that'd be a fun time.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, this is gonna be a good night. I think this is the last week of double headers on Monday. So let's embrace this while we have it, and man, let's have a night. I'm really excited about this night.
It should be fun. I definitely have one play locked in, which is like a leg play for me. If I miss back to back on the show talking about the same prop, I might have to just quit, which I honestly is okay with me. But
it's cool with us too. It's no worries.
Yeah, honestly, I honestly, it's a win-win for me because I either quit in shame and I get to just enjoy my Monday nights from now on, or I win some money. So I think it'd be fun.
There you go. Hell yeah.
To get started, do you guys want to just jump right into it, or do you guys want to talk a little bit about yesterday? What was your favorite? What was your biggest takeaway yesterday? I guess
there's a lot of bad coaches.
Really. I was going to say my biggest takeaway is I think I can manage the last 2 minutes of a football game.
Yeah, I mean,
pretty confident at least.
But I think we're reading too much into this. Losing by 5 is way worse than losing by. I mean, way better than losing by 8, right?
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
At least you got that going for you.
Yeah.
I just know there's somebody out there. There's somebody out there that bet like live at some point during the game, just drunk, like a Raiders plus 5.5, and they were like, "What a great call! Like, what a great decision that was." I would have done it. I think that was a great decision by them.
That's so funny. Could you imagine, dude? I was arguably even more disgusted at the Brandon Staley call when LA was up 28-24. I believe there's a minute and 51 left on the clock. They have a 4th and 1 on the LA 24. And they go for it and miss and give the Vikings the ball down 4 on the 24-yard line. Now, granted, they still fumbled it. So, or they threw an interception, but the Vikings still Vikinged, but that's one of the most appalling coaching decisions I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I think we said it last week on the if you guys don't watch the 1:00 show, that's now at noon on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I didn't say what. Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every day of the week.
There you go.
At noon, we did kind of say it. I think the line of the week was that's a game. The over-under was so high, but it's two teams that try to find ways to lose in their own way, and they both tried really hard to lose that game. And
damn, they sure did.
The Chargers lost at losing. That's really what it is. I don't think either team won. They just lost at losing in a stupid way.
I like that.
Yeah. There was not enough time on the clock, too. Like, you got to trust your defense a little bit. There's so little time left. You get a good punt. They're low on timeouts. I think they don't even have any timeouts left, I don't think. You just got to trust that you can make somewhat of a stop that you just can't get in the end zone. 3 points means nothing in that situation. So driving that far would have been really tough.
Yeah, and Tone said, let's go in on Josh McDaniels, which I'm having a hard time deciding which coaching decision I hated more because you're down 8. It's the second trip into the red zone of the entire game, 57 minutes in. You're on the 10-yard line, 8-yard line, something like that, 4th and 4. And with 2.5 minutes, you decide to go down from 8 to 5, which gives you nothing. It gives you absolutely nothing. So they, they trusted their defense, so I guess I'll give them that. But their defense didn't come through. But I guess they anticipated in 2 minutes and 30 seconds getting a stop and getting back into the red zone, hoping they'd have a chance when they already had it sitting right in front of them.
I thought they got lucky when they got that penalty, and they were like, "Oh, now they're for sure going to go for that touchdown," and they saved the coach right there. But nope, right back to the field goal.
Yeah, I thought there was a lot of crazy calls at the end of that game in the Raiders' favor. It felt like the refs were trying to get them somewhat of a chance, but
they said no. They did not want any help. They wanted to do their own thing. I honestly
sounds
feel like
much better, by the way.
kicking a field goal in that situation is almost like that's something that happens if you have first and goal. You have like two holding calls and a necessary roughness, and it's like, oh, now it's 4th and 30, and we need a touchdown. Like, there's no way that's gonna happen. They were right there. I mean, they were 8
4
yards
yards.
away. They were ready to go, and they did not. They did not want to win that game, which is fine. I mean, go Steelers. I don't know. I'm an honorary Steelers fan this year for no reason. I don't know. I just kind of if whoever they're playing, as long as it's not the Eagles, I root for the Steelers. Same with the Cardinals. Go Cardinals.
Yeah,
Big
go
Cardinals fan
Cardinals.
over here.
Yeah.
I do
Dak
have
throwing into triple coverage to end the game was just so glorious.
I do have like a free bet I put on the Giants have the worst team, the worst record in the whole league. So it was like 40-1. So I don't know. It's that big win for the Cardinals was huge, but really annoyed that they came back and they let the Giants come all the way back last week to win. And my first thought was, oh, they're just losing on purpose. They just don't even want to try to win. And then they beat the Cowboys, who's like regarded as like the top 2 team in the league. So it made me a little upset that I was like, all right, you guys clearly aren't 100% trying to tank. Why'd you have to let the Giants come back for that? But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I would
All we
imagine
could do is.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say you say your thing because I was gonna move on.
Oh, I was going to say I'm pretty sure everybody in the world that put a money line parlay together yesterday probably lost. There was unbelievable upsets. So,
Yeah.
if you had a winning money line parlay, send me that thing because that's kind of incredible if you're able to pull that off.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I actually turned $4 into like 12 grand by betting on the Cardinals,
There you go.
the Texans, and
Texans.
the Colts. It was a good day.
There you
But
go.
no, I was gonna say it was all we can do is really look ahead. We have 2 games tonight. I guess we'll start with the early game. I only have one play in the early game. That's an official like unit play, and then I kind of got some fun with it. But I don't know if you guys have any plays for the 7:20 game, 7:25 game.
Oh, of course.
Only game I got plays for. Nothing in the second one.
I want to do something we never do because we usually try to keep Nick's airtime as little as possible. But Nick, you go first. You
All
go
right.
first. You take the reins. What do you got in this game?
You want one or you want all of them?
Well, how many do you have?
I've got like 3.
Oh,
Two of them are related though, so I'll give you those 2 first.
give me those 2, and then you can like check out for a little while. Yeah.
So Baker Mayfield, over rushing attempts, over 3.5 on DraftKings was plus 130. You can use that 50% boost and get it to almost plus 200. He's in the first 2 games, he's had 6 and 8. So he's gone over that big time. So he could be under pressure from Philly. And he's not, probably an underrated runner. He doesn't run design runs, but he's not a terrible scrambler. And then just to go along with that, his rushing line is 10.5 on FanDuel minus 110. If you want to get crazy, you can take 25 rushing yards is like plus 360 on DraftKings. So I'm probably going to play all 3 of those actually on him. But I just think it's a good spot for him against this Eagles defense.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy volume for him. I'm sure there's Neals.
Yeah, that's
he's been running for his
really
life.
high.
Neals do count. I mean, Neals at the end of the half count. I said it last week when I took Bryce Young. I was hoping for that punt under 30 seconds, kneel before the half, and I got it. But the Panthers decided not to kneel. They decided for the Miles Sanders draw play to piss me off because that was what I was hoping for, and I didn't get what I needed. So I really hope he has 3, and then they call a 0-yard scramble into a sack play just to make you.
How mad were you last week on that one?
I was so mad because it was graded as a run
so
at first, and I don't usually get mad about that kind of stuff, but I was like, oh, dude, like I've seen that call to run so many times, and it only made me double mad when he broke off like a 26-yard run, and I knew I made the mistake of not going for the 10.5 rushing yards. So I actually like that you split it. I think that's my big thing is I'm going to start splitting a lot of volume and receiving props or yards props because between that, Travis Kelce yesterday and Justin Fields, 11 rushes, 47 yards. He actually had a line for 7.5 rushes. So it's that kind of stuff where it gets really frustrating when you bet one side of it and you miss it by going for volume or yards and not missing it. So I kind of want to do more of those splits for the yards / carries, which is kind of a good segue, our favorite word on the show, into who I bet tonight, which is Dallas Goedert. This is a legacy play for me because he was just such a money maker last year that I thought it was just going to continue. They signed him to a new contract. He's always been such a big part of the Phillies offense, and the Eagles decided just to not use him. I don't know. Like, I think last year he was so good in those, over the middle crossers, those, you know, tight end screens. We saw it last week. They ran 3 or 4 tight end screens, but they were terribly run. The blocking scheme was off. They didn't
Yeah.
really have a good, scheme for it. I just don't know what this offense is doing so far. So I think week 3, extended rest for this team. If they don't figure out how to get this offense back to what it looked like last year, I don't know if it ever will happen. And we talk about, run defenses for these two teams, both phenomenal. I don't know if the Eagles are going to be able to run for 200 yards again with ease. So I think you're going to see 30, 35 dropbacks for Jalen Hurts. And, eventually this guy has to catch a pass over the line of scrimmage, right? I don't think he's had a pass that hasn't gone for an ADOT of more than 5. So eventually it's going to have to fall down. So I bet him over 38.5 receiving yards and over 3.5 catches. I think they both should be quote unquote hit with ease. But with the way you watch this offense, it's been really struggling. But I said it in my Twitter and in the Discord post. I shared it on both. He leads all tight ends. It's him and Kyle Pitts with 90 and 91% route participation. So if you're going to give me a guy that averaged almost 6 catches a year last year and he's running routes on 90% of the passing dropbacks, getting under 40 and 3.5 catches is just something I'll live with because eventually it has to crack, right? I don't know. That's my thinking.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I thought about this spot quite a bit. I had already locked in an Eagles receiver, so I ended up avoiding it. Not to mention, there was never a doubt in my mind that you were going to play it. So I figured I'll leave this one for Brian.
I honestly said the words, I'm never going to bet on the rest of the season. And then when I saw a 3.5 line that was playable, if it was 3.5, like minus 165, that's different. But minus 130 for 3.5, it's just, I mean, come on.
This is a bet that you just keep like doubling up as we go until it finally hits, so it covers the rest of the year.
Don't say that because I haven't been doing that. But now that you say that, it might turn out to be like that. So don't make that.
Like
because
from like week 11, you're putting like $3,500 on it.
week 11, I don't have a car. I don't have a car anymore. I had to sell it.
It'll be over 18 and a half at that point.
No one talks to me anymore. Like it's just like a whole thing. I live on the streets. And I'm just like so desperate for this, and it just
so not much difference from right now.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad because the fact that Nick said that if he doesn't get a catch on the first drive, I know for a fact I'm gonna check the live lines now and just see, like maybe not bet it, but just see like if it drops to like that 30 or that 2.5 really juiced because I do think he should finally get involved.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I'm gonna kind of I guess buy low in a sense on an Eagle player. It's become a pretty popular play as I kind of figured it would. I'm gonna take AJ Brown.
AJ, you piece of shit.
I put this one out on. I guess it had to have been Thursday. So I've been on this for a while. I usually don't bet that's this far ahead. But this one, I just really like the number. I did get in at 67.5. I don't know if that line exists anywhere.
I think it's all 70.5 now. Yeah, it's all 70s.
Yeah, I'm not mad at a 70.5. I'd still take that. I really like this play. I have a lot of confidence behind this one. So we'll see how that goes for me. But it's always a little tough to decide between AJ and Devontae and Dallas. And I do like both options tonight, but I do lean AJ. He's off to a little bit of a slow start, but he's averaging 54 yards a game, 8 targets per game. So not that bad. He had 79 yards in week 1 with 10 targets, and it could have been a much bigger game. They also attempted 2 passes with 45 air yards that were incomplete. I think one was a catch anyway, but they didn't call it a catch, so it is what it is. In week 2, the Eagles threw the ball 23 times. 7 of those were to Dallas Goedert. So, he never really got his fair share of the ball. And I mean, everybody's seen the controversy on the sideline. He actually said it didn't have anything to do with targets and stuff like that. I don't really believe him, but I also don't think it's that big of a deal anyway.
I think if you're not competing, you're not really trying. I love that kind of stuff. That's my thing. I played sports my whole life. If you're not getting angry or you're not getting at least a little bit, back and forth with your quote unquote brothers, I don't really trust a team that's all like happy all the time.
Yeah, I agree. I never really had too much of a problem with it. However, I don't mind kind of using that as a little motivation tonight. Last week, there was also a 35 air yard pass that was incomplete. So Hurts and Brown showed a really good connection for all of last year. So I'm really starting to figure, we have 3 bombs that they're 0 for 3 so far on. I think tonight's the night that at least one, occurs, if not more than that. So I kind of feel like maybe it's been a little bit of bad luck. Maybe it's just bad throws. I thought he caught the one in week 1, but it didn't work out. But that's okay. But yeah, I really like this. He's averaging 10 yards per catch so far this season. In the early season, he averaged 17 last year. He's averaged 16.2 for his career. So I also like the Tampa Bay front 7. I think they'll make it a little harder for the Eagles to run today than any other team that they've played so far. So I think this will be the most Hurts reliant game, like as far as his arm is concerned. And if that does end up being true, I think AJ Brown can slaughter this line. It's one that he hit 11 of 17 last year, and I think he can go 2 for 3 to start this season.
Yeah, you talk about the Bucs defense. Same with my Goddard angle as well. Is this team should not be able to get away with 23 dropbacks this week. They're going to have to find ways to beat this tough defense, and I do think it's going to be through the air. And I think those are the 2 guys who are going to benefit the most because Devonta Smith has been so good with that deep ball option, but this might be more of a in the middle of the field, intermediate type of game. So I do think that those 2 guys are the ones that benefit the most.
Yeah, I like him a lot. Also, on the other side, I'll go and rattle off my second play as well. So there's a little news that has come out since I played this, but it didn't, it doesn't make me not want to play. I just think this is such a good spot for Chris Godwin. So I took his over 53.5 receiving yards. That was minus 115 on MGM at the time of taking it. He's another wide receiver. He's got a long history of being really good. It's off to somewhat of a slow start. It's not been terrible. Still 14 targets, 109 yards. He's hit the line in 1 out of 2. I think he can kind of crush this line, if I'm being completely honest. The Eagles are a mess over the middle of the field. Now, we did get news that James Bradbury will go to the slot sometimes and cover him there, but Godwin's about a 50-50 guy. He's still going to get outside looks as well, and I think Slay will mostly be dealing with Mike Evans. So I think it'll be in Tampa's best interest to move Godwin around, and I think he's going to have a really good day, especially across the middle of the field. I mean, we lost slot corner Avonte Maddox to a pec injury. He's out for the year. We had terrible linebacking depth to come into the year, and then we lost I guess you could say our best linebacker, but he was unproven, Nakobe Dean. So there's just not really a lot in the middle of the field scaring me away. I think the Eagles pass rush will get in Baker's face a lot today, forcing quick throws. He's a little bit lower of an A-dot guy. He's 8.6 yards for average depth of target. He's also running 98.5% of the Bucs routes. So they've thrown 2 deep passes to him. So I don't know, like kind of similar with Brown. There's a lot of things here that I'm seeing that I'm really optimistic about, even if like the actual stats don't really show that he's been tremendous. He's on the field pretty much every play. He's getting a 22% target share. And I just think this is a spot where he can really blow up. I think he gets 80 or more yards today.
I got one more staying on Tampa Bay receiving props. Rashad White over 15.5 receiving yards. It was minus 125 on Fanatics for the 20 people that have that. Otherwise, you can take it. I think it's 16.5 minus 110, pretty much everywhere else. But he didn't do much the first game as far as receiving. He was really good last year as far as receiving. But last week he had 5 for 30. The Eagles gave up 6 for 64 to Ramondre Stevenson in week 1. So once again, I think he's kind of the safety valve, him and Godwin for Baker. So if he's scrambling or needs to check down, I really like White's receiving. I'm also going to take the 50 yards just in case he pops one for plus 650.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I was actually our friend, I know Ryan knows him, but Monotone Football on his show Pass the Prop, he took a parlay of White under 64.5 receiving yards. Rushing yards parlay with 3+ catches, and I actually really like that because I think that's a good way to play him if you can get good odds. So that was definitely one I was tempted to play.
Too.
Yeah, I like that. I was plus 105 when I saw it. I hate having like too much on one game in terms of unit play, but that one did really catch my eye. So I gave him credit for that one. That was a good play.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that. I really like that. I saw a stat real quick. Sorry, Brian. I saw a stat last year that Baker Mayfield was number 1 in check down percentage to running backs. I
Doesn't
never
surprise me.
double checked that myself, but I believe that to be true. So Rashad White is a good guy to have for Baker for sure.
Yeah, he's explosive too, so it should be a fun time. So I might look into playing that. Honestly, I might use it as like a boost play, and I try. It sounds mean, or it sounds weird. I try not to get too many units into a single primetime game, especially when it's the Eagles, because it gets too messy with how I watch the games because it'll start to really get to my head. But I did want to point this out that last week Nick Chubb got hurt on prime time, and they gave out free bets on DraftKings for anyone that missed a bet on that. I didn't get mine, so I chatted DraftKings today, and they gave it to me today. And as a smart person, I decided to waste it as fast as possible and use it on tonight's games. So I
Love that.
did use a
Love that.
I had a $90 free bet from DraftKings, and I put it immediately on Dallas Goedert 25 plus yards and the touchdown. I think the total in this game is 44.5 for the Eagles are still implied for 3 touchdowns. We talk about the tough run defense for the Bucks. If you watch all 3 of the passing touchdowns the Bucks have allowed this year, one was a screen. It was a motion draw play for Madison. One was a inside the number deep play for Addison, and then the other one was another kind of hitch route to the outside. So it kind of all the touchdowns they've allowed this year have been kind of the profile of what you would expect from Dallas Goedert. They haven't really allowed any touchdowns on the outside of the numbers. So I'm just envisioning this a nice drive by the Eagles inside the 15, inside the 10-yard line, fake handoff. You just see that over the top drag route from Dallas Goedert for 6. So I don't usually bet on touchdowns, but here we are.
Yeah, I figured a lot of Dallas Goedert propaganda would be shared here. I'm absolutely loving it. I really like Goddard. If I hadn't already locked in AJ, I could pretty much guarantee I'd be.
I'll say this is for everyone in the chat too. I like AJ Brown a lot tonight. I think people forget that the Eagles at the peak last year when they were running their offense as they should be running it now, they were able to get 35 dropbacks, and you would see these games where Goddard has 65 yards, Brown would have 96, and it's very possible for them to both coexist as long as Jalen Hurts is making his throws, which he hasn't really been doing as much this season.
Yeah, we'll get to see. I mean, I thought Hurts has looked slightly shaky, not enough to really concern me, but I think tonight we'll really be able to see, the grasp that he has in this new offense, or I guess kind of our future of, how well he can run this offense, at least through the air. It's pretty easy to play football when you have a back rushing for 175 behind you. So let's see how he does tonight against a good front that should at least slow down our run. I think Eagles' offensive line is one of the best, if not the best. So I still think we should be able to run a little bit. I don't think it'll be like taken out of the game, but like I said, I think this will be the most reliant game on Hurts' arm. So we'll be able to see. If you have your concerns, they'll be answered tonight. We'll be finding out, in my opinion.
Yeah. Also, before we move off this game, because do you have anything else on this, Nick? I don't believe you do, right?
No, nothing.
Yeah. Before we move off, I was going to say too is I do think there is some value / degen fun if you want to bet plus 135 for AJ Brown to have a catch on the first drive. If you really buy into all of the talk of last week with the arguments and whatnot, it is kind of a fun market. But I just hate those kind of markets because they remind me of first field goal basket, where it's just you're so happy and you're so ready for it, and then 38 seconds later you're just sad, kind of like Ryan when he had his 2 kids. Like those kind of
Baseball
moments.
first pitch.
Too soon, man. Too soon.
We have to make them somehow, Ryan. So those are just how the cookie crumbles. But I just wanted to do that before we moved on. So moving on to the 8. Oh, you have one more. Okay, you lied to us. No,
kind of, sort of. So I did take Swift, but this was a while ago. Swift's line has moved so much. I don't really know what to suggest. Right? Yeah, it opened at 33.5, and I stared and I stared and I stared. I walked away for a few minutes. I came back. It was 35.5. I did take it there. If we're talking the 41.5 on FanDuel, I'm not that sure. I think even DraftKings is now bumped up to 39.5. I feel like I have a really nice edge on my AJ play. I think I have a really nice edge on my Godwin play. This feels like a little bit more of a guess. It's almost like, how can I resist kind of play. So I wanted to mention that I did bet it. I posted in Discord this morning. I'm kind of confused on what to suggest here. Maybe a half unit on the 39.5. It's so hard to imagine that he goes from 175 to like doghouse just because Kenneth Gainwell's back. And I do like Gainwell, but I think Swift proved that he should be RB1. So I don't know. I felt like it was worth the risk, but I also like this one. I don't really see it as an edge. I see it more as like that line's too tempting. I can't resist. So I don't know. I wanted to get that out there.
What did you get it at again?
35.5.
Okay. Yeah, it's 41.5 on FanDuel now.
It was some books had it 32, 33 this morning. It's kind of crazy how it got steamrolled the day up. A lot of times you see a prop steamrolled over the course of a few days, but it's I don't know. We'll see. I do think it's a good look. I do think it's one of those things where, I mean, I don't know. I would love for this to be a high scoring game where the offenses actually look competent. That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
That would be really fun. I would enjoy
I'll
that.
text you guys later when it is 0-3 at half and the final score is 3-2.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So to kind of go to the next game, I haven't locked anything in, but I did want to bring up this one play, which you kind of mentioned steamrolling odds. I'm a little mad because I was going to wait until I knew Burrow was in, but when I talked about this on the show at 12, Joe Mixon, 50-plus rushing yards, parlayed with his 3+ catches is -125. I checked before the show; it's now -155. So that's a lot of juice to lose. So I'm probably gonna let it not ruin my day and just not even worry about playing it. But I was playing with the odds before the show. I actually want to find a way to play Joe Mixon receptions if Burrow plays, just because he's clearly not healthy. He already has dumped the ball down to Mixon 7 times this year. He has 4 and 3 catches, and that offensive line has been better this year, but still at the same point where with his injury, he would rather a -2-yard throw to Mixon where he takes a hit rather than a 6-yard sack where he's taking these big hits. So I think one of the pairing I was looking at is you can get -110. Tyler Higbee, 25+ receiving yards paired with 3+ catches for Mixon, something like that. I think I'm going to do some sort of a parlay for that to get it because I would have put a lot of money if I got a 3.5 line for Mixon's receptions. But the books are smart, which is stupid because I knew it. They said him at 4.5, and 4.5 is just a really tough line for a running back receiving prop. So I'll probably look to find a 3+ edge to put into a same-game parlay for that game.
Good deal. Nick, did you have anything for this one?
I just have one bomb play.
Cool.
Tutu Atwell under 4.5 receptions paired with 110 yards plus 10,000.
So was 100 not good enough? What was the thinking there? Is 100 that
Not
too
good
round of a number? Can you bet 106? Like what was the thinking behind that?
110 was the magic number.
110, eh?
And if you want another example, just the odd correlation is just crazy with some of these. Like this hit last week with Smith on Philly, under 4.5 and 110 yards. That's plus 12,000.
That is crazy.
I hope it gets 106. I hope it gets 106 now.
Come on.
Me too, because I bet 100. I bet 100 and under 4.5 too. But this one just looks better.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I like
those
that. I
plays
think it
are
hit
so
yesterday
interesting.
too. It hit yesterday, right? With what's his name?
Calvin Austin.
Yeah, I had
Austin, right?
well,
Yeah. The under 2.5 and the over 70+, whatever people are playing it at. I do like that.
That's a really fascinating thought process. I might have to dabble. I'll leave it alone for now, but I may have to dabble in that because if you hit one of those out of 100, you're breaking even. So I'm pretty sure I can hit more than 1 out of 100.
It kind of mixes in with like that first pitch and RBI stuff and weird. Yeah. Once you start betting it, though, it's hard to get out of it.
It's the perfect NicLarson.
It's like the reverse PPDs, the strikeouts and the loss. It's a very weird angle to root for. You catch one negative 2-yard screen pass, you can just turn the game off. I mean, it's not even worth it at that point.
Yeah, there you go. That kind of leads me into my play, which I'd be perfectly fine if Nick's first one hit. I did take Tutu Atwell over 54.5 receiving yards. It's -113 on FanDuel last I checked.
Hey, watch this out there. Just go for 110.
Yeah, that's right. Next time I'll just bet him for 110. This was another decision. It was tough going between Puka and Tutu, which is a hell of a duo of names. But let's talk about Puka first. So this man lit the world on fire. 25 catches, including 15 for the 49ers last week, is unbelievable. He has a 40% target share. But with all of that happening over there, very quietly on the other side of the field is Tutu Atwell, who has 13 catches on 17 targets, and he's averaging 98 yards a game. So very intriguing. I thought this line was really interesting. He's a second round pick in 21. So they obviously, they really wanted this guy. He's been with McVay long enough that he's clearly gained his trust prior to yesterday, or I guess the start of week 3. Tutu Atwell actually led the league in routes ran, which makes sense because the Rams, they led the league in plays overall, I believe. But, he's run a route on 98.9% of their plays that they've passed. So the trust is there. They pass a lot naturally. They kind of moved on from the Cam Akers era and are now all in on Kyron Williams, who I think is a solid running back. But I think this will just be like a 60% pass, 40% run kind of team for the rest of this year. So I really like this 54.5 for Tutu Atwell. He's got an average depth of target of 13.4 yards. The Rams have taken 4 deep shots to him. He has 6 targets with 18 air yards or more, not to mention his 4.4 speed. So it feels like a low line for the guy getting this much route participation and this kind of like breakaway speed. Like I think he can catch this in one play, which would make NicLarson very, very happy. So, Puka's lines are almost a little sketchy, and I guess you could even make the same argument about Tutu Atwell's now that he's blown past both his reception and yards line. But Puka at 5.5 receptions is like scaring the shit out of me. That I want to play it. It feels so obvious, but it feels like almost a little bit too obvious. So I went with Tutu. I think, like I said, he's got the breakaway ability. They're obviously targeting him deep. They're also targeting him pretty short, and he has the yak ability. So I think he has the target share. I think he has big playability that he can beat this for actually the 3rd time in 3 weeks. I don't take guys to go 3 for 3 very often, but I really like the spot for Tutu Atwell.
I'm gonna pass this over to our resident Bengals fan over there. I think his name is it's like Tutu. It's Tone or Tone Stamp. How you say it?
Yeah, Tone.
So I'm playing with the odds to pair something with Mixon 3+. Brian and his friend he brought on the show today made very good points about Tutu Atwell. Would you think that a better pairing for 3+ receptions for Mixon would be Tutu at 40+ over someone like Higbee at 25+?
This is a question for Tone. Okay.
I'm asking Tone that watches every miserable snap of the Bengals season so far.
There you go. Okay.
Oh man, you see, you bring up Higbee, and my immediate thought is how they played against Mark Andrews last week. Now, admittedly, Andrews is a much better tight end than Higbee, but the Bengals defense, the Bengals, they played like shit against Andrews. They let him go free. They let the Ravens and to an extent the Browns beat them in the underneath game. So I do like anyone to beat them short and just kind of meticulously, thank you, drive down the field. So I haven't been watching Tutu Atwell, so I can't really say as to the routes he's been running. But if he can run some underneath slants, anything short field, I think he has a strong chance of doing well in this game.
I can see that. I like that.
Yeah.
I just think that I didn't realize that Tutu's lines were as low as they were for the alt same game parlay. So -120 for 40+ and Mixon 3 catches might be where I end up moving, just because I think Ryan kind of hit the nail on the head, and same with Nick over there. It's just that I think he just has a much more established target share than someone like Higbee that's been getting 3 catches a game, but doesn't really have that next gear to make you feel kind of comfortable to back a yards play with.
Yeah. I mean, he did have 7 targets last week, so that's
yeah, no, he did it. He didn't bring any in. It was crazy. I think he has
3
4
for 7.
week 1 and 7 last week. So it'll be interesting how I decide to play it once I know all the specifics of the game.
Yeah. Now I have one more. If you guys are all set on this one,
I am all. You can take it away.
Talk a little baseball if you guys have anything. My last one, cheating a little bit here. I have Joe Mixon over 60.5 rushing yards. That was on PointsBet. I would imagine they move that, but I'm not really ever going to take a play that I don't, that I wouldn't play the line on FanDuel and DraftKings. So I would imagine everybody has a 63.5, which I'm perfectly fine with. Despite being second in the league in time of possession, the Rams have been really bad versus running backs. They allowed 64 yards on 12 carries to Kenneth Walker, and that was when the Seahawks had the ball for like 21 minutes. And then obviously CMC last week really did a lot of damage, 20 carries, 116 yards. Also, Deebo Samuel had 5 carries for 38 yards. So this team's allowed 5.3 yards a carry so far. Now we do have the QB mystery still going on here, but I actually like this either way. So either you have a young quarterback with pretty much no experience that you're going to want to try to, make his life easier by handing off to Mixon, or you have an injured, hobbled quarterback that you want to make his life easier by handing off to Nixon is kind of how I see it. His attempts line is set at 15 or 14 and a half or 15 and a half, depending on the book. So if you get that kind of volume with the way the Rams have been defending the run, I think he can hit that. He hasn't been like the most historically efficient runner in his career by any means. He's pretty solid, like 4.0, 4.1 yards per carry kind of guy. But he's played 2 really tough defenses, especially the Browns this year. I thought he ran really well in both of them. He had 13 carries in both games, 1 for 59 yards, 1 for 56 yards. So he's been right there. And I think he gets heavier volume tonight. So this is just a line I think he can kind of breeze past this fairly easily. So go Joe Mixon.
I like that. I think that's a good look. I think they just try to settle things down and get him some good looks, especially with you don't know who the quarterback's going to be or how they're going to look like tonight. So try to get the run game established early.
It feels like the right thing to do. Granted, I am trusting coaches to make good coaching decisions, but which can be a bold play sometimes. But
Joe Burrow's going to have 21 completions on 43 pass attempts for 16 yards, and you're like, what the fuck?
I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, so that's all I had for the 2 NFL games. Do you guys have anything for the MLB slate that you have locked in? The only thing I looked at is someone actually in the chat mentioned Stafford over 35.5 pass attempts. I mean, Ryan kind of said it as well. He sees more of a 60-40 type of team, and I agree with him there. I mean, they lost their Hall of Fame running back Cam Akers recently, so they have more reason to try to throw the football. They have a lot of weapons to throw the football. I do think that this is a team that just likes to think throw first.
Yep, I think so too. I like that. I dabbled in the thought of his completions for a while. So if I like completions, I like pass attempts as well.
Perfect.
MLB?
Yeah.
I got 4 of them.
There you go.
Starting with probably my favorite play out of everything today. Blake Snell, 6 strikeouts, Padres to win against the Giants. He's 2-0 against them this year. He's probably one of the hottest pitchers right now. Had 8 and 11 against them in his 2 starts. So I'm going to ladder this. 6 in the win is plus 102. Probably going to take it up to 12 in the win as well. He's probably has the Cy Young locked up, but he's going against Webb, so this would just be the stamp on that if he can dominate once again here.
Yeah, I've been looking at this one all day. I think this line is very tempting. Snell has got to be the most fascinating pitcher in the league. This he had a month in July. He pitched 32 innings. He allowed 26 walks and 22 hits, which is 48 if my math is correct. 48 base runners in 32 innings, and his ERA that month 0.56. I've never seen anything like that in my entire life. That's probably one of the most incredible things.
He's no stranger to runners on base, that's for sure.
Yeah. He is. Will easily admit that he is going to walk people. That is just kind of part of his game. But you live with it, and I think he can slaughter the San Fran lineup tonight. So I love it.
And then I
hate that you played that. I hate that you played that because I was staring at a way to play 7+ or 6+ for him. It's just
don't do it. Remember, you owe me one. Don't do it.
You know what? What if I do? Yeah, right. You're right. I do owe you one. I'll stay away. We can't ever bet on the same things. That's fair. I was looking at a 7+ paired with Webb 4+, or a way to play both their walks tonight. Honestly, with Snell being Snell and Webb playing the most walk-friendly team out there. But I'm gonna not play any MLB today because my friend Nick asked me not to, and I'm gonna stay away so he can win.
Appreciate it.
Very nice.
I'm so gonna bet on Snell later.
I know you are. Then I had 3 RBI plays. We did a nice plus 800 earlier today with Alec Thomas on Arizona. And then I have, to finish that off, I have Adolis Garcia on Texas, Julio Rodriguez, Seattle, and then Manny Machado on San Diego. Probably going to have to wait for all these. They're later start times. I don't know what FanDuel's been doing lately. They release the alternate 3-4 RBIs for anything until like almost an hour or less before first pitch. Some of these guys don't even have the 2 RBIs up yet, so just gonna have to wait on those. I think they're all like 9:30 or later Eastern start times, but I like all 3 of those guys' matchups tonight.
Good deal.
Well, and I like you, Nick. So I appreciate you sharing.
I like you even more if you don't bet that Snell play tonight.
We're gonna see if the Eagles get up to an early lead and Dallas Goedert scores. I'm gonna be going to a local bar with my father and some friends. At that point, I might not even remember. Fathers, yes, I have 6 of them.
That's awesome.
One for each day of the week, and then I get off Sundays. But depending on how that goes, I do think I might find it like a
Brian
Brian
a little dangerous at that point.
Like a Brian that's a few drinks in forgets all he thinks about in terms of compassion for you, and he just might do it anyway. And then just to have you text him and say, "Yo, what the hell? You promised you wouldn't play it." I just think it'd be funny if I did that, and then I have to deal with you getting upset about it. And then when he has 3 strikeouts, it'll be funny to me. But
6 walks in the first inning.
6 walks, but you don't know with him. He could have 6 walks and also strike out 6 guys in the same inning. The math doesn't add up, but it somehow works out for him, and only 1 run. I don't know how he does it.
I have no idea.
He's gonna be the first Cy Young winner to have a 3.6 WHIP on average.
His WHIP is almost higher than his ERA.
He leads in ERA and he has the worst WHIP.
He would be a crazy good MLB closer. Guys that really fuel off adrenaline in high stress situations. He just likes getting
a heart attack every safe situation, though.
Yeah, that's well. But it doesn't really matter. They live for the adrenaline there.
It's not me.
Yeah, so we can move on to the pick it popular plays. I already know. Oh, wait, Ryan, you don't have anything MLB, right?
I'm out. No MLB for me.
I already looked at these earlier, so I'm a little bit ahead. But first one is AJ Brown by far, over 15,000 picks on the Pick'It app. And I'll tell you what, I like this new update. We talked about it. It has a lot of pictures now. I'm a very picture learning person. Words confuse me, so I appreciate that. And by far, his most bet player prop today, I think we always know what it is. It's anytime touchdown. Is this a real price? Does FanDuel still have plus 150 for him? Because I hate that. Because
I thought it was 135 actually, but
according to the odds shopper on Pick'It, FanDuel has now moved back to plus 150, which really pisses me off because, and as I say that, I get the DraftKings alert saying that the most bet player prop tonight is AJ Brown touchdown. So there's going to be a lot of liability for the sports books if he finds pay dirt tonight. But at plus 150, I can't hate you for playing it. If you buy into the scuffle they had last week and maybe he gets more targets, clearly he's not going to score before Dallas Goedert does, but there's always room for multiple touchdowns in a game, so I can see that happening.
Yeah. Yep, I've given my spiel on AJ. I really like AJ tonight for sure. And plus 150. I like that.
I'll tell you what, I bet my first like legit unit play touchdown yesterday was Lamar plus 200. I don't even care that I was slightly up yesterday. I was up by less than a unit yesterday, but just knowing I want a touchdown score made me feel all the better because I hate playing them. I hate betting on them. So knowing I had a unit on it, it was nice.
The best part about that is when I came across you a few years ago, I felt like you had like a yards-ish kind of card, and then you used to have a touchdown card.
I used to bet touchdowns all the time. Well, I'll tell you what, I used to bet touchdowns all the time because I was really good at touchdown scores. They're my favorite thing. But you have to remember that the odds from 2 years ago to now are just so different. Like it really is. I mean, you see these odds that I remember. I still have on my old tracking sheets where I was doing really well with touchdowns. I mean, you were getting guys at times like 3-1 that you might see now at plus 112, and it's just like, all right, there's just too much volatility with these props. Where if you're not getting plus money, you're paying minus 300 for a guy like Christian McCaffrey. Like it's just sure.
Pollard was minus 240.
Yeah, so I do think the odds are a big deal with it, which is kind of where my touchdown props would be this year because plus 200 for Lamar when most books had a minus 112 as a whole, a minus 115 as a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But that brings us to another low end touchdown scorer tonight in terms of odds. Second best player, second most bet player on Pickett is Jalen Hurts. Most bet thing for him is anytime touchdown plus 125.
Yeah.
I saw a stat kind of like Ryan mentioned earlier that if you're gonna, you mentioned earlier with forget who it was, where you didn't check the data on it, but you just saw it and you believed it empirically. I did see something that Jalen Hurts, a lot of his touchdowns he scores are usually the first touchdown of the game. So my one friend that works for FanDuel says that it's not a bad practice to bet him first touchdown score in that 7-1 range, and then you get him live at better odds than beforehand if you wanted to go lower on the risk. Say, bet 0.1 unit on first touchdown. If he doesn't hit it, you can use the other 0.9 to go in for it live because you're going to get plus money rather than paying some of these lower prices for them. So just keep that in the back of your mind.
Hell of a strategy. I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Speaking of first touchdown, FanDuel's boost is Hurts, Swift, or Evans to score the first touchdown, plus 300.
So not got it on there?
No. I think he has his own section.
Uh-oh.
He's in the weekly double up section, I think.
What? No, he's fine. He's unboosted. He's fine. Uh-oh. This is going to be crazy. The last one, I'll let one of you guys take it because I've been talking way too much, which is really annoying for me because I hate watching these on the rewatch and hearing myself talk for this long. So, Mike Evans, any thoughts on Mike Evans tonight?
I personally let off. I have a lot of respect for Darius Slay. Watch every Eagles game. I have seen wide receiver ones have good games against him, but they're pretty few and far between. And I'm usually talking superstar wide receivers that nobody can cover. So I feel like I've seen Evans have a lot of trouble with guys like Marshawn Lattimore and things like that. Because really, there's some guys that you can't shut them down, but you can slow them down. I feel like Evans is a guy you can shut down. I'm not saying he's going to be, but I think Slay has that shutdown capability. I've seen Evans shut down before. Spooked me a little bit. I personally laid off Evans 100%. I have no Evans anything tonight. So I don't dislike his play, but I think it carries a little bit more risk than the rest of the board.
I respect that. I think Godwin was a good pivot there, or Nick's pivot to the check down king from Baker Mayfield to Rashad White. So those are the most bet players on Pickett. Well, as we come to 6 p.m., do you guys want to wrap up our plays and kind of get ready for what should be a good night of football? So
hell yeah. I'll let you guys go first.
I'll go first because I have a really short card. Dallas Goedert over 3.5 catches. Dallas Goedert over 38.5 receiving yards. Free bet on Dallas Goedert to score. And then also, depending on the quarterback play, I'm going to find a way to parlay Joe Mixon 3 catches with either Higbee or Tutu Atwell, depending on how I see fit with the odds. So that's kind of my 3 looks for tonight.
Good deal. Nick, you can go ahead.
I've got Baker Mayfield over 3.5 rushing attempts on DraftKings, and then Baker Mayfield over 10.5 rushing yards on FanDuel. Couple bomb plays. Devontae Smith under 4.5 receptions, over 110 yards. And then this one is for Brian. Tutu Atwell under 4.5 receptions and 110 yards, which he said, 106 is what he's getting.
106.
And then
106. I'll come back to this.
All right, clip it. Rashad White over 15.5 receiving yards, or you can take over 16.5 on FanDuel. It's probably the most available to people. Blake Snell, 6 strikeouts and a win against the Giants. I'm going to ladder that. 6 and a win is even money. You can take it as high as you want. And then for RBI plays tonight, I have Adolis Garcia on the Texas Rangers, Julio Rodriguez, Seattle Mariners, Manny Machado on the Padres. Like I said earlier, you'll probably have to wait a little bit until it opens the all RBIs for 2, 3, and 4 on those. I think they start like 9:30 Eastern.
Yep. Okay. I'm going to take AJ Brown over 67.5. It's now 70.5, which I'm fine with. I believe FanDuel. I'm not even going to say that. FanDuel had the best odds earlier, but it's been a little while. My next play is Chris Godwin over 53.5 receiving yards. I believe best price is MGM. Then I took Tutu Atwell over 54.5 receiving yards. I believe best price is FanDuel again. All these are a couple hours old, so bear with me. Joe Mixon over 60.5. I'm okay with 63.5, which I'd imagine most of you will have. I kind of caught PointsBet slipping a little bit. They're actually at 65.5 now in about 2 hours since I bet it. So, yeah, I like 63.5, but I believe that'll conclude us for the night. We have 3 baseball games, 2 NFL games, so plenty of opportunity to make some money. As always, we appreciate everybody tuning in. We appreciate our sponsors, Pickett, not Pickett Sportsbook, like I tried to call them last week, Hall of Fame bets and sleeper picks. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.